Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and children of all ages, welcome to the Scale Model Outlaw. If it's your first time tuning in, as we always say, thank you. We appreciate it, and we really do. To our return viewers, same thing, guys. You know we appreciate you, and thank you all very much for checking in, seeing what's going on here at DO Outlaws. Today, we're going to give you an update on the 54 Hudson. I haven't really been spotlighting the Hudson. We talked about it when I brought it back from JaxCon. I did pick it up at JaxCon. We talked about it a little bit from JaxCon. I think I showed you some wheels that I was trying to put underneath it, and in between working on the bike and letting paint dry on the bike or whatever, and that hydro dip stuff, trying to figure that out, taking a break from that, if I'm being completely honest with you. Not that it's hard. It's just new, and I'm having to learn it, and sometimes it's always best to put it down, walk away, and gather your thoughts, come back at it with a fresh attitude. So when I'm doing that, I'm tinkering with this little 54 Hudson. So we're looking forward to showing you guys that. But before we get into all that, just like we always do, I want to take a break to appreciate our sponsors, IcemanCollections.com and ScaleFinishes.com, and listen to a message come in on the other phone, because that's always what we do here at Outlaw, listen to two phones at one time. All right, back to it. Let's go hear from our awesome sponsors, and we'll be right back. And welcome back. Always good to hear from those guys. Love our sponsors. Iceman.com, IcemanCollections.com. Go there, get all your 3D printed needs. When you get your cart loaded up, scroll to the bottom. You'll see a discount code. Put in Outlaw10. That's right, Outlaw10. Get you a 10% discount. When you leave there and you need some paint supplies, head on over to ScaleFinishes.com. Load up your cart with all their awesome goodies. Same thing, scroll to the bottom in the cart. When you get to the bottom, there's a discount code. Put in Outlaw10. Only this time you're putting Outlaw in capital letters. Outlaw10, get you 10% there. All right, well, as promised, or as warned, I should say, we are back and going to check out the upgrades, or the update on the 54 Hudson. So let me get this out of the way so you don't get two different views. Camera can focus. We have done very, very, very little to the body. I like the way it is right from the factory. I did the fuel cap, or gas cover. There it is. Use your words, Michael. Every video, we got to say that. I did basically seal that up, and when we primer it, you won't be able to see it, or shouldn't be able to see it, and if we do see it, we'll sand it and rub it and get it right till you don't see it. I did put in the sun visor. You can see the sun visor right here. I like that look. I'm going to make it happen. But as far as slamming it down, making it look right, the biggest reason not the biggest reason, but one of the big reasons I like this car is from here to the back bumper is essentially flat. And the way we got it cut out and stuffed, it's going to sit super low to the ground. Super low. It's going to look pretty good. Here's the hood over here. So get an idea of what it looks like with the hood on it. There you go. Kind of get my fat finger out of the way, but we're getting there. Like I said, this is one I kind of work on in between. I try not to do two full builds at the same time, and working on the motorcycle has got most of my attention. But like I said before, whenever the paint's drying or I need a break from those not water slide, but what do they call it? Hydro dipping. Then we go ahead and work on this a little bit. Let's start with our wheels. We remember these wheels. These are the ones I got from the KR. Whoops, look at that, fell off the stick. Perfect. These are the ones I got off the KR 500 diecast. These are the wheels and these are the tires. Now I just basically, look at the tires. Look how meaty them tires are and the rims fit in there. Basically I have dipped them in at the purple pond and got the chrome off of them, and have so far I've got the base coat of the Alclad down. Trying to make up my mind. I don't know if I want to do them chrome, black chrome. Thought about doing them chrome on the outside and body color in the middle. Not real sure yet which direction I'm going to go, but I knew that I was going to need that black base either way because of the Alclad. The Alclad really likes that gloss black base, so we're going to use that. That's a rear wheel. The front tire assembly is the same thing, just obviously smaller. That tire is just wide enough. Hang on, let me grab the body. When the frame is in there, that tire is just wide enough to fit in there. And I mean, if it was a real car, you'd never be able to turn because the frame rail is just about touching the inside of that tire. But for sitting on the shelf and maybe, possibly at a show, it'll look good. But got to make up our minds on how we want to decorate our wheels. But other than that, we're ready to go whenever I can figure out which direction I want to go with it. The colors that I chose, probably should have shook these up to begin with. I purposely brought them out and sprayed some stuff with them, but I picked the 1950 Hudson Oriental Green. Now I know on camera that just looks black. It's not, and I'll show you here in just a second how green it really is. But this is going to be the body color and the interior color to a point. I'm only putting a few things in there, and we'll talk about that, but only putting a few things in there. That color, the contrasting color that I went with is, Ford calls it, Scale Finishes calls it the mystery color surf green. But if you look at it, that's seafoam green, and that's the color I wanted to go with. That is also a color that was available on the Hudson back in the day, and it may not be the exact matching paint code, and it may be a shade or two different, but I liked it, so and I had it on hand, and that was the look I was going for. You can see on the door panels, let me get a pointer. You can see on the door panels that we've already painted them the main green, but the Oriental green we're going to put on the fluted parts right here. We'll paint that Oriental green, and we'll paint this Oriental green, and of course our door handles will be chrome and or black chrome. I'm really and truly just tossing back and forth whether I want to do chrome on the body for the trim and bumpers and all that, or if I want to do black chrome. I'm leaning towards chrome, especially after last night. Miguel was nice enough to do me a rendering, kind of an idea of what my car is going to look like when it's done, and he did it with that green, or as close as he could to that green with chrome, and it looked really sharp. So might be we put some bare metal foil on it and some chrome, and maybe some chrome in here too. But if you can imagine it with the Oriental green here, the Oriental green here, and that of course will be on both panels the same way with some chrome goodies in there. The back seat, yes, there's a big booger right in the middle of the back seat because of the way it fits on the chassis. Now let me finish this first, and I'll show you. We'll make the connection with the chassis. On this, I'm going to leave basically everything this color green and do the Oriental green on the padded part, if you will, the ribbed part. That'll be the Oriental green. I plan on putting seat belts back here to put over top of that to kind of hide it. But the reason that that's there is because of our frame modifications. Now, for as little as we did on the body, we made up for it on the chassis. As you can see, and it may be better to look at it from this way, we back half this thing. We cut it right here, well actually right there. We cut it along that line completely, except for the completely off. And then I came in with my tires and set them where I wanted them. We put this piece in. It's all evergreen styrene. Put this piece in, marked it so I knew where to come across. Now this back piece with that little bit of dolphin skin on there, we got to sand that out, rub that out, get it smooth. But this back piece is factory. So you got factory, homemade, and then back to factory. But I wanted to get these big old tires in there, and I knew that it was going to be tough. And plus, there's stuff. When it's all said and done, that tire is, I want to say somewhere like right along in there. It's just enough to where it's not touching, the frame's not touching the ground. It's really low, which was the look I was after. In the front, we had to take off the A-arms in the front. This is an Iceman Collections A-arm kit from him. We had to get it to be able to get these tires close enough to the chassis and up to get them tucked up in there where we wanted them. They did come with brake rotors. The die-cast wheels came with these brake rotors. The ones I have for the front, I'm going to be able to use the rear ones just as they came because there's plenty of room. But in the front, I had to grind the caliper and the hub down to where the whole thing is only 6 millimeters wide to be able to have enough room to get the rim in there, the tire in there, and get it attached to the A-arm without it coming out, trying to come out past the body and have to do any body modifications. Now the green that we sprayed, this is, I'm going to try and get it close for you so you can see, this is the green that is going to be on the body. Again, it's a 1950 Hudson Oriental Green. I don't know how well it's showing up on the camera. I could try to get it up there. I really and truly don't know how well you can see it. For as great as this iPhone camera is, everything has its weaknesses. Maybe if I get my hand behind it here, you can see a little bit. Super, super happy with this color. This is no clear coat on it yet. I obviously have to do the dash details, get the decal in there, get things detailed up a little bit, and then I'll hit it with the clear, and I'm really hoping it's going to pop even more than it does now. It looks really, really good. You know, we don't just get sponsored by Scale Finishes. We use their products. We love their products. Same way with Iceman, we love their products. We use their products. We believe in them. But not last but least, but here's the motor. This is a V10, Iceman Collections V10. I haven't really done any modifications to the motor itself. The intake is in the purple pond because I got a little carried away last night and screwed up the intake as far as paint goes. So I'm having to soak it in the purple pond and be able to start all over again. But my mistake, I got carried away with the green paint and I used the wrong airbrush, and the metallic, there's a lot of metallic in this. And when I shot it through my 3mm brush, it did not want to cooperate. So I ended up having to soak it and start over again. But again, not a lot of customizing to the motor. The motor's painted with Alclad dull aluminum. The black you see is the black for the Alclad black base. I've left them black because I'm going to paint the intake and the valve covers the same as the body and match that color to there. And like I said, not a lot of factory or modifications to the motor, but the header, however, there is a lot of modifications in there. Both the headers are essentially the same. What I had to do, because of the way this is set up, this is the bottom half of the header here. Let me put it on a clip. I don't have an alligator clip handy, but this is the bottom. This is what the header looked like when it first, for the kit, which put that exhaust blowing right inside of my wheel. And there was no way I could get, I told you that the tire is up against the frame. There's no way I could get the exhaust to come out of there. It was just going to blow inside the tire, and I didn't want that. I didn't think it looked real enough. Probably could have got away with it, but instead I took all the ends off of the header, all the parts, or the ports, or the whatever you want to call them, the part that bolts to the block. I took all those off individually, put them on the motor, put my Elmer's glue on there to hold them in place, and then took a piece of soldering wire and bent it up and laid it in there where I wanted it, super glued it to all the pieces, and then popped it off. So now I've got that there. We went ahead and, to where the inlets are now glued to the solder. And then actually it's not solder, excuse me, it's TIG rod for TIG welding. And I super glued all that on there, and then I started building it up with putty from basically the bend going forward. I built it up with putty, and then the 500 sealer, getting it a little fatter because the solder wasn't quite big enough, and the next bigger piece of solder I had was too big. And for the exhaust that I wanted, I actually got all that done. And then on the bottom half of that, you can see my toothpicks kind of shoved up underneath there. That's because this piece right here from the bend down is a piece of shrink tube that I put over the solder and then heated it and shrunk it. So it's like shrink tubing for wiring. That gave it a little bit more girth. And girth is always good, is what I'm told. But anyway, it made it bigger, and that's what I like. So I'm going to have I'll build the exhaust coming off of this down the road. It'll end up having a piece of rectangle flat tubing coming out, because round tubing, even big round tubing, is going to be too big. So we got the flat stuff, kind of like a NASCAR type exhaust coming out on each side. So it's nice and low and won't be hitting the ground, and I'll be able to poke it out again without butchering or cutting up that body. I didn't want to cut up that body. Well, I think that's it for today, guys. I do want you to stay tuned, whether it be today or tomorrow. I have yet another stash ad, guys. I went a friend of a friend of a friend today, and I picked up some amazing kits. 2 of them, not one, but 2 of them, sealed, that were on my grail list. I am ecstatic today. I've texted everybody, probably boring them to death on Sunday. They're getting text message from me about the new kits I picked up. They probably wished I didn't have their number, but I was telling everybody about it today. Oh, before I forget, I'm sorry, I almost forgot it. The rear end. This is a Iceman. I'm pretty sure it's an Iceman rear end. Don't hold me to that. It's definitely a 3D printed rear end. Could be from VCG. It might be one of Josh's. In fact, I think it is one of Josh's rear ends. On it, you know, the tires are so wide, so we needed to narrow it up. In fact, that's exactly what it is. It's a VCG Dana 60 rear end that I got off from Josh off of his website. So check those guys out too. But I went ahead and built a brace for it, or a bracket for it, to where it mounts to the frame here, because it sits really low. Well, I'm sorry, you can't really see it up there. It sits like this in the chassis. That's why we had to tub out the middle of it there to get put that tunnel in there. But what I wanted to show you, it's kind of hard to see now that I painted them, but what I wanted to show you is these little brackets. If you look right there on the top, that's a link mount. And I've got these from Ron Kuhn Resins. He's got the link mounts and the Heims that go in there. If you watch one of my, I just did a video giving him a shout out because I knew I was about ready to put all this together, and I got his pieces and got to really look at them. It's super detailed. But I also took those same link mounts and took my file and made the top half of it kind of a, you know, U shape, and made that to attach to my piece. Now, granted, there's no air shocks in there or nothing. And yeah, in real life, that would beat you to death. And there would be no need for upper control arms because they're not going to do nothing. But for a model, they'll be perfect. But again, VCG Dana 60 rear end with the custom cover, and Ron Kuhn brackets, link mounts. And as soon as I get it done, you'll see the Heim joints and everything that go in it. Didn't want to forget those. That's super cool. When it's all said and done, those tires, I mean, they come in, that's about all that's left. I mean, the only thing sticking out of this thing is about that much. So you can just barely see the diff cover on there, but I think it'll look cool. May not be practical if it was real life, but it's still cool. All right, guys, I think that does it. And like I said, y'all stay tuned to get to see these new kits that I got. Super, super excited about them. But until then, guys, y'all enjoy your Sunday. Be kind to others. Be safe. And keep on modeling.